Sean Rockoff here. Today I want to talk about why today in 2026 it's a really good time to be a software engineer. So the thing you have to realize is that if you're a software engineer and say you just got out of college and you have a degree in computer science, that's awesome. Maybe you have a master's, maybe you have a PhD, that's cool. The thing you have to understand is that if you're a web developer, you have these skills, there's only three routes you're basically going to take. Either you're going to work for a big company, a big tech company like Google or Meta, or a smaller company, maybe a startup. You're going to go the freelancing route, or you're going to launch your own startup. So those are basically the three avenues that you're going to take. You're going to take one. Maybe you're doing a little bit of both. Maybe you work for a big tech company and you're launching that startup on the side, and you basically want to eventually do that full time. Right now, even with AI, and as advanced as AI is, and yes, it's speeding up our workflows dramatically. But the thing is, right now, it's the best time to actually launch a startup, because with freelancing, the competition is fierce. It is just fierce, especially if you go on to sites like Upwork or Fiverr and you're trying to pitch your gigs and your services or whatever it is that you do. Massive competition on these websites. If you want to go the freelancing route, the best way to do it is to hit up some of your local businesses. Just hit them up. It could be a walk-in, it could be a phone call. That's the best way to get business, because now, yeah, Fiverr, Upwork, these are good websites. I think Upwork is pretty much dead. It's on a downhill trajectory as far as I'm concerned, but freelancing is always an option. And I believe launching a startup is the best thing you can do right now. If you work for a big tech company, now we get into some issues. You might work for Google or Meta, and they might not be happy about you launching a startup on the side because it's getting in the way of what you're doing. So that's something you always have to be mindful of, and people do get fired for, oh, that you're launching that startup on the side, you're building in public, everybody knows, and you work for one of these big tech companies that might have a big problem with that. So you have to make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's. And you can be a creator as well. That's always that option. You see a lot of software engineers that say, to hell with this, to hell work for a company, I'm going to be a creator and start a YouTube channel or start a blog and be an influencer, and they make money doing that. But the thing is, right now, it's tough to get a job, even with a computer science degree. And if you don't have a degree, it can be really tough, unless, now there's a certain route you want to go. If you decide, oh, you don't have a degree, are you building in public? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe you have a YouTube channel, now you're demonstrating your skills on a YouTube channel. You're building in public, you have a GitHub repo, you're building stuff. You're not just building some lame to-do app. You know what I'm saying? You need to build something that's a little more advanced than just a plain old simple to-do app. So there's only three routes you're basically to take. Launching a startup, that can be hard, especially if it's hot as heck out here. It's about 100 degrees. This is East Texas weather. So if you decide you want to launch a startup, obviously if you're bootstrapping that can be pretty tough. Now if you get some venture capital, you get some money, if you get funding, now you don't own 100% of the company. And there's expectations. If you say, for example, you get a $100,000 check from YC Combinator, now what? They're hoping that you take this to the moon and become, they're striking that, $100,000 check because they want the unicorn. That's what, you know what I'm saying? It's that simple. So there's always that option. It's hot, but yeah, you're gonna basically take three routes. My advice: getting a bachelor's of computer science, cool. Maybe get a master's or a PhD, especially if you want to work for Google or Meta. If you have a PhD in computer science, now what's happened now, you've created that moat. You've created a moat, because now not everybody has a PhD, and that's how you get success. That's how you get results. You create a moat. You have to do these things that the average person is not willing to do if you want to get results, if you really want to get massive results. So that's my take. competition is fierce, even as far as like undergrads. If people, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there with bachelors in computer science. How many people out there have masters in computer science? Not as, you know what I'm saying? So you got to create, at the end of the day, you want results, you got to create a moat. You have to create a moat. That's what it's about. You got to do the things that the average person's not willing to do. So right now, even with the age of AI, and obviously, yeah, I know it's tough. It's tough to get an entry level job as a software engineer. Go for the master's, go for the PhD, and obviously you have to know how to implement AI into your workflows, because if you don't, and the thing is, it's not about, at the end of the day, most companies, how they interview people is totally different now. It's not about just leak code, data structures, and algorithms. You got to know how to integrate AI. You got to understand how AI coding works. So this is Tyron Ratcliffe. Make sure you follow my blog at tyronratcliffe.com. Tons of coding tutorials. What are your thoughts about this video? Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.